Hi guys, today I'm going to talk about this book, Teach Yourself Arabic, and I'm going to tell you whether it is a genius work of art or a piece of crap from hell. Good afternoon guys. I'm going to talk today about a book and CD program that I used in the past to study Arabic. It's called Teach Yourself Arabic from the infamous Teach Yourself series, and it's this book right here by Jack Smart and Francis Altorfer, or something like that. I don't know how to say his last name. First of all, I should say up front, I want to be careful that we're talking about the same book. There are actually two books called Teach Yourself Arabic. This one right here is the old one from 1991. This one is basically focused on receptive skills, on reading and listening to Arabic. It's not really focused on conversational or communicative Arabic. That one is kind of universally lambasted by people who buy it because when they buy a Teach Yourself book, they're hoping to learn to communicate, most people I think, and that book is basically based on reading and listening to the news in Arabic. That's really the purpose of that book. So we're going to focus on this one, which is the new one published in 2001, and it has a much more communicative, conversational focus, and it's much more suitable for the average learner who buys Teach Yourself. So we'll talk about this. It's a pretty good book, but it has some weaknesses, so I want to talk about those just to give you an idea, and that will help you maybe use the book better. So first of all, the book is based on, well, it's teaching you modern standard Arabic. That is the formal kind of Arabic, the standard Arabic that is used in newspapers, it's used in the media, and it's used kind of as a tool to communicate across dialects, because Arabic has a lot of different dialects. So when people want to communicate with a speaker of another dialect, they incorporate some of the standard language into their speech to make it understandable for the other person. So this is all about modern standard Arabic, but it teaches it in a way that's communicative, conversational, and it helps you to interact in daily situations. So that's kind of rare. There are some other books now that do the same thing, but a few years ago this was kind of the only popular book like that, the only common book like that, and it was kind of rare to find a modern standard Arabic book that did that. So it's good for that, and it's good in the language that it teaches. Like if you look at Unit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, they teach good language that's useful in daily situations. And the vocabulary it presents, I think, is useful and presented in a logical order. It gives you a lot of experience with different language skills, so it's not only just the reading and the listening, but it gives you a chance to do some writing exercises, and it gives you a chance to do some grammar exercises. It's got a good balance of skills, I find. Of course, you're not speaking with someone, no one's listening to you and giving you feedback, unless you have a private teacher, but it covers all of the bases to whatever extent a book like this can. So it is a regular Teach Yourself book, even though it's based on modern standard Arabic. So it's good, good in that sense. The strange thing about this book is that it switches gears suddenly. Like the first 7 units are based on good conversational situations, daily life situations. Then in Unit 8, it switches gears and throws you in headfirst into this traditional story about Sinbad the Sailor. And I think it's actually an authentic text from a book, from some old book. And it's written in very kind of archaic Arabic, and they throw you in head first, and you're reading this going, wait, I haven't learned this stuff yet. Why am I reading about Sinbad the Sailor using these archaic sentence structures? So I found that unit quite frustrating, and it made me want to stop using the book, to be honest, because there were things in that story that I couldn't find in this book. I couldn't find them on the internet, in Google. I was trying to search and find what these grammatical structures mean, but I couldn't. So I think the idea that they had was to just force you to understand the main meaning without understanding everything. But if they do that without explaining that, and they do that suddenly, even though the first 7 units were kind of different, then it's a shock to your system and you're going to get frustrated. So I found Unit 8 was annoying. Unit 9 was similar because they threw you in to a bunch of advertisements, like they're advertisements from a newspaper or a magazine, and there were some apartment ads, like looking for an apartment. And the exercises ask you questions, and you have to answer based on these advertisements. But the advertisements are full of words that you haven't seen before, and it's just really hard to decipher them. And there's not a lot of guidance or explanation about the goal of that exercise. So if they had said, like, the goal here is just to scan for important information, don't worry about everything, then maybe it would be easier for learners to get through and not worry about the stuff they're missing. But it doesn't really do that. It just throws you in. You're confused because you're expected to deal with all this language you haven't learned yet. So that's a weakness of this book, is that element. It's written by 2 people, and I have the feeling that Units 1 to 7 were written by one person, Unit 8 and 9 and some of the others were written by someone else. That could be true, I'm not sure. Later on in the book, some of the chapters get back to that communicative focus, and that's good, but some of them are still unclear, and there are some sections where you're thrown in head first without adequate guidance, I feel. Another weakness of the book is that some vocabulary appears in the exercises or in the texts that is not taught. It's not given to you in the book, and it's not in the glossary at the back of the book. So for a new learner who's just bought one of these books and doesn't have an arsenal of dictionaries and grammar reference books and stuff yet, that's really frustrating. It's one of the most frustrating things to look in the glossary and not find the word you're looking for, especially when it appears in this book. There were also very simple words I tried to look up. Like, I remember when I was using this book, I remember thinking to myself, like, almost every time I went to look up a word in the glossary, it wasn't there. Even when it was a really simple English word, I would look it up and it wouldn't be there. And I would always be thinking, why isn't that word in this book? Why isn't it in the glossary? That's such a simple, basic word. It should be in here. So the glossary is not up to snuff, I think. And they should really make sure that everything we're expected to deal with, all the words we're expected to understand, should be taught in this book. So they don't do that. To get around that, you need to have a good dictionary and to know how to look up words in that dictionary using the root or whatever the system is. So get a dictionary, and that will help you out a lot with this. So with that said, it's good. It does teach good language, and it teaches good situations, and I think it teaches modern standard Arabic in a way that is useful for you to use as a communication tool. So just be prepared for those weaknesses if you get this book. There are some parts that throw you in head first without a lot of support. If you're an inductive learner, if you're someone who likes to figure things out without a lot of help, then you might enjoy that and just slug through it and find that fun. But if you're a more traditional deductive learner and you like to get the instruction up front and then know everything that comes after that, then this book might frustrate you a bit. But it's good. I'll give it 3.5 stars out of 5. Not the best, but not the worst. All right, thank you for listening, and have a nice day.